Hi, I'm George Howard. I'm sitting here today with Mr. Peter Lubin, who is a good friend of mine and a music industry luminary. We're going to talk about a wide range of topics, and to begin with, I'd just like Pete to introduce himself.
Right, I'm Pete Lubin, and I spent 20 years as an A&R executive at the major labels in the music industry. Now I consult to labels and publishers. I produce records, and I deal in some new technologies, secure encryption, and on-demand disc pressing, among other things.
And one of the amazing things about you, Pete, and we've known each other for getting on 10 years now or so, is that you don't stop. You know, I've seen so many people in the music business who have a certain limited field of expertise, especially in the A&R world, and it's a very closed, kind of hermetic world, and they're not able to get beyond it. And just, given your introduction there, you've done production, you've done encryption, you're doing some manufacturing elements. How do you navigate these waters? Is it the changing industry, or is it out of necessity or interest, or both? Or?
Well, basically, after leaving the major label fold, I went into the business of saying yes. Mm-hmm. The phone would ring and people would say, I've got this initiative, this business plan, this, and as much as I could, I said yes.
That's awesome.
And not necessarily for the money, but for the wide range of experience that it's brought to me,
It's somewhat of a prescient decision at this point, because those people that have walled themselves into a specific knowledge base are lacking opportunities.
Well, I would say this, let's say you spend 20 years doing A&R at the labels and suddenly you don't do A&R at the labels anymore. It's not like you can go to a mainstream industry. You can't go to the Xerox Corporation and say, well, I know how to pick hits, because they'll laugh you out of the offices. So you don't develop a skill set that's easily translatable, that's for certain.
No, I think that's an interesting point. And as the music industry evolves and changes and becomes less about the four majors and the indies or whomever that are kind of the content holders, and it being more about music slipping into all sorts of little parts of our life, the people that love music and that want to work on music have to have a wide range of abilities to work. I mean, Xerox may be a stretch, but when you've got Toyota starting labels, and music is in a whole different place than it ever was. For someone who is, you started as a publicist, right?
Well, I started as a rock journalist.
A rock journalist.
Yeah. That, think Cameron Crowe in Almost Famous. Okay. When I was a little kid, me and a buddy started a rock magazine in the very beginning of what came to be rock journalism. And we had to start our own magazine because nobody would let little kids write for them. So we published it ourselves, and the thing took off a little bit and became something of an item. And so, and at the same time, because the whole rock music industry was being born, we're talking about 1970, give or take, because the whole rock industry was being born, the whole rock critic industry was being born at the same time, etc. So I ended up in a place where all kinds of people that you might have heard of, John Perellis and Robert Christgau and Richard Meltzer and Lester Bangs, they all wrote for our paper, and we wrote for all of theirs. So by the time I was 15, 16, I was in Rolling Stone magazine and Stereo Review and Crawdaddy and this and that.
So, what's interesting to me hearing you say that is how nothing's really changed. The medium has changed. Now somebody that loves music and wants access or wants to have their voice heard, they start a blog, or they start Pitchfork, or they start whatever. But to my mind, there's a character trait there of people that want to write about music, want to be filters, that is almost an essential quality for someone who wants to be in the music business.
Except there's one thing about that. The barrier to entry, for rock journalism, when I was a kid, sure, it was much higher. Okay, sure, you could aspire to it, but you couldn't publish the same day, right? Like a blogger
right,
could.
Yeah.
But there's a corollary in the music business too, because certainly back then,